Hey, Leap Inspire family. Imagine a billionaire, cloaked in wealth and untouchable, standing in a glittering New York mall when a 6-year-old boy points to a penthouse piercing the sky and says, "That's where I was born." Those words stop the man dead, unearthing a secret that could shatter his world. How could a child know the private heart of his empire? This is the story of Alexander Vanderbilt and Emily Thompson, two souls from opposite realms whose lives collide in a moment that changes everything. Buckle up for this 20-minute journey of heartbreak, redemption, and love. It's packed with twists that'll keep you hooked till the very end. In Manhattan's pulsing core, where skyscrapers gleamed like polished steel under the summer sun, Alexander Vanderbilt was a living legend. At 32, he was America's youngest billionaire, his life a curated display of tailored Italian suits, a Patek Philippe watch worth a small fortune, and a penthouse atop the city's tallest condominium, its glass walls reflecting the chaos below. His dark hair was always immaculate, his movements precise, but his hazel eyes carried a coldness no smile could pierce. Trapped by the weight of his family's legacy, Alexander was engaged to Victoria Hayes, a socialite whose flawless beauty graced Vogue covers and whose laughter filled gala halls. Their wedding, set for next month, was no love story. It was a merger, a union to cement the Vanderbilt and Hayes empires. At a lavish dinner in the Vanderbilt mansion, chandeliers glittering above a table of crystal and silver, his grandfather William, frail but fierce in his wheelchair, gripped Alexander's arm. "Continue the lineage, grandson," he rasped, his voice a command. "I want an heir before I'm gone." Alexander nodded, his jaw tight, knowing he owed his wealth, his name, everything to William. But each expectation felt like a stone piling on his chest, suffocating the man he might have been. Across the city, in a bustling mall's food court, Emily Thompson, 25, slung French fries with a smile that lit up the chaos. Her red apron was frayed, her dark hair tied back with a simple elastic, but her warmth drew customers like moths to a flame. She was the backbone of her family, supporting her diabetic mother, Margaret, and her 17-year-old sister, Olivia, in a cramped apartment by the rattling train tracks. Every dollar she earned went to survival: bread for Margaret's breakfast, a burger for Olivia's lunch, or saving for a phone so Olivia could keep up with online school. "You're so nice, miss," a young boy said, handing her a crumpled dollar. Emily's laugh rang out, bright despite the exhaustion etched into her face. At night, under a leaky roof, she knelt by her cot, praying under a flickering bulb. "Lord, give me strength for Mom and Olivia," she whispered, her dreams of a better life fading against the weight of hospital bills and endless shifts. Their worlds, so far apart, were destined to collide. One humid July afternoon, Alexander, dodging reporters after a hollow press conference about his engagement, slipped into the mall for a moment of peace. He stood by a third-floor glass window, gazing at his penthouse across the street, a fortress of solitude where he'd once loved a woman who vanished without a trace. Nearby, 6-year-old Ethan, clutching a worn toy truck, slipped from his mother's hand. Emily, distracted by a street performer's guitar strumming through the mall's speakers, didn't notice. Ethan stared at the towering condo, its top floor glinting in the sun, and whispered, "That's where I was born." Alexander froze, his breath catching like a snagged thread. "What did you say?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. The boy, unafraid, repeated, "My mom said I was born up there." Alexander's heart thudded. Only one woman knew the secrets of that penthouse: Emily, the love he'd lost 7 years ago. "How do you know that room?" he pressed, kneeling to meet Ethan's eyes. Before the boy could answer, Emily's voice sliced through the air. "Ethan!" She ran over, her face pale with panic, then stopped dead, her brown eyes locking with Alexander's. The world seemed to pause, the mall's noise fading as recognition hit like a tidal wave. 7 years earlier, Emily's life was a desperate fight. Margaret's diabetes had spiraled, her swollen feet barely carrying her, and hospital bills loomed like a storm. Out of options, Emily turned to her high school friend Sarah, who dangled a promise of quick cash. "Just dance at a bachelor party," Sarah said, flashing a designer bag and gold earrings. "It's safe, legal, and pays big." Emily, her heart heavy with worry for Margaret, agreed, though every instinct screamed against it. The party was Alexander's stag night, held in a lavish Manhattan hotel before his engagement to Victoria. Surrounded by his friends, sons of politicians, club owners, and car moguls, Alexander drowned his dread in whiskey, the weight of his family's expectations suffocating him. Emily, in a borrowed red velvet dress, felt like an imposter among the confident dancers. Her nervous steps caught Alexander's eye, her innocence a beacon in the haze of cigar smoke and laughter. In a drunken blur, they shared a reckless moment in a hotel room, their worlds colliding in a fleeting act neither fully remembered. Emily woke at dawn, horrified, her clothes scattered, and fled, vowing never to return. Months later, she discovered she was pregnant. Alone, scared, but resolute, she chose to keep the child, naming him Ethan, her light in the darkness. Now, in the mall, the truth unraveled like a frayed rope. Alexander saw his own sharp jawline, his hazel eyes, and Ethan's small face. "He's mine, isn't he?" he asked, voice trembling with awe and guilt. Emily's tears fell as she nodded, clutching Ethan's hand. She'd fled New York after Margaret's death 4 years ago, raising Ethan in a quiet upstate town to shield him from the Vanderbilt world. Olivia's college graduation had brought them back for a day, and now fate had intervened. "I didn't want this," Emily whispered, her voice cracking. "I just wanted him safe." Alexander stepped closer, his usual coldness melting. "I didn't know, Emily. Let me make this right." They moved to a quiet restaurant, its private room a haven from the mall's bustle. Over steaming jasmine tea, Emily poured out her story, the endless shifts, Margaret's illness, the loss that broke her heart. "After Mom died, I couldn't stay," she said, stirring her cup. "I took Ethan and ran, built a life where he could be free." Alexander listened, his guilt a heavy stone. "I was trapped too," he admitted. "By my family, by a life I didn't choose. But Ethan, he's my son. I want to be his father, Emily, and I want to be there for you." Her heart wavered. She'd built walls to protect herself and Ethan, but Alexander's sincerity cracked them. "I'm not here for your money," she said firmly. "I never was." He reached for her hand, his touch gentle. "I know. Let me prove I can be more than my name." But the Vanderbilt family was a storm on the horizon. In their opulent boardroom, marble walls echoing with their fury, William slammed his cane. "A food court girl. A dancer?" he roared, his face red. "She's after our wealth." Alexander's father, cold and calculating, leaned forward. "You're a disgrace, Alexander. Abandon her, or you're out." His aunts and uncles chimed in, their voices a chorus of disdain. "No name, no education. She's nothing." Alexander stood, his fists clenched. "I don't need your empire," he said, his voice steady. "I built my own. Tech startups, real estate, investments. I'm done with your chains." He walked out, the heavy oak doors slamming behind him, leaving the Vanderbilt stunned. Emily, too, faced her own battles. 7 years ago, the Vanderbilts had housed her in the Penthouse during her pregnancy, paying for Margaret's surgery but treating her like a vessel. Their plan was clear: take the child, discard her. She'd overheard Alexander's mother on a call, her voice sharp. We need the heir, not the mother. Terrified, Emily had fled with Ethan after his birth, leaving behind a check she refused to touch. Now, Alexander's promise to stand by her stirred hope, but also fear. Could she trust him? They spent days reconnecting. Alexander visited Ethan, bringing a soccer ball, teaching him to kick it in a park. Emily watched, her heart softening as Ethan's laughter filled the air. One evening, Alexander knelt before Ethan. "I'm your dad," he said, voice breaking. Ethan's eyes widened. "Really?" He hugged Alexander, and Emily's tears fell. Not from pain, but from a joy she'd never dared imagine. Yet the Vanderbilts didn't relent. They sent lawyers to Emily's small upstate home, offering money to surrender Ethan. "You're not one of us," a suited man sneered, handing her a contract. Emily tore it up, her hand shaking. "He's my son, not your property." Alexander, learning of this, confronted his family. "You'll never touch him," he vowed, cutting all ties. He moved Emily and Ethan to a modest countryside home, far from Manhattan's glare. There, in a chapel surrounded by wild roses and jasmine, they married. No media, no grandeur, just neighbors, scattered petals, and Ethan as ring-bearer, grinning ear to ear. "My family's complete," he shouted, tossing confetti as the small crowd cheered. The reception was a humble feast, wooden tables covered with checkered cloths, homemade stew, and spring rolls from neighbors. Children ran through the field, their laughter mingling with the local band's guitar strums. Emily leaned on Alexander's shoulder, Ethan chasing fireflies nearby. "Happiness isn't in wealth," she whispered, her white dress fluttering in the breeze. Alexander kissed her forehead. "It's right here, with you and Ethan." Olivia, now a college graduate with a business degree, danced with Ethan, her medal glinting. She'd become a scholar, honoring Margaret's memory, and her bond with Emily was unbreakable. Years passed, and their wooden home echoed with life. Alexander, once a cold billionaire, became a father who taught Ethan to ride a bike, his laughter warm as he steadied the wobbly wheels. Emily, once a struggling vendor, found peace in baking bread for her family, her hands dusted with flour. Olivia thrived in her career, visiting often with stories of her city life. The Vanderbilts' empire faded from their world, their threats empty without Alexander's compliance. Ethan grew strong, his hazel eyes a mirror of his father's, his kindness a gift from his mother. One quiet evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, Emily and Alexander sat on their porch, Ethan asleep inside. "I left everything for this," Alexander said, his voice soft. "And I'd do it again." Emily squeezed his hand. "We're enough." Their story, sparked by a child's innocent words in a mall, proved that love could rewrite even the most broken paths. No wealth, no name, no power, just trust, courage, and a family built on heart. Thank you, Leap Inspire family, for joining us. Keep shining, keep inspiring.